In a case method class, or even if not in a case method discussion, in a course where you're going to ask people to read things and discuss them, issues of discussion management come to the fore. One of the issues, of course, is preparation. What are you going to ask the students to read? So one of the fundamental issues we mentioned in our basic model was your choice of materials. Are you going to ask them to read primary research sources? Are you going to ask them translated technical notes that maybe draw from multiple primary source studies and then consolidate that and translate it into a layman's set of language that they can find more memorable? Many academicians will want to assign primary source materials. In my experience, MBA students and corporate managers who are participating in executive MBAs or non-degree programs really are not that fond of primary sources. The question statement, the literature review, the sample setup, the design of the study, the collection of the data, the discussion of the data, the results, and so forth, they don't relate to that very well, and there's a lot of academic jargon. So when I invite people to prepare for a discussion method, we tend to use materials that have been translated for the practicing lay manager. Another issue, of course, is can you ask the right questions? And it seems to me that the right set of questions for any discussion, whether it's embedded in a case method class or it's a part of your primary course design, asking the right questions is a big issue. I've seen a lot of syllabi as recently as yesterday from colleagues around the country where the syllabus consists of a set of readings and there are no questions. So one wonders, what are the students learning? What are they supposed to learn? Do they, when they get to a class, does someone begin asking a question? Is it a good question? Is it a weak question? Is it going to strengthen the students' learning or not? If you're going to be guiding the discussion, it seems to me that you could think about that in advance rather than just doing it ad hoc in the middle of the class, although that's how many people conduct their seminars. Asking the right question seems to me a very, very important topic. The other issue has to do with can you balance participation? So if some people are more introverted or shy or for whatever reason are not volunteering, how do you engage those people in the discussion? I have a number of techniques I use. Typically, I will offer a softball, an easy question on occasion, like, Mary, what do you think about that? Or what's your perspective on what Bob just said? I wonder how you would apply this principle in your own life, if at all. So they're questions that may not embarrass them because they aren't very skilled at that particular theoretical framework or article that you've asked them to read. But anyone can say, well, this is how I approach it, or this is how it would make sense in my life. Now that may or may not be useful to the other people. It stimulates those quieter people to practice translating their thoughts into language, and it also encourages people to formulate opinions. If you don't have an opinion on a topic, then in my view you will usually be nothing more than a listener, and you won't be an active participant. You won't be able to debate back and forth. So a facilitator of discussion, I think, has the responsibility of ensuring that you get a balanced participation, that you get everyone involved. One way to do that was developed by Peter Senge's group at MIT, what he calls dialogue technique. It's not dialogue in the lay sense, but it has a particular structure, and I've seen it used very effectively in meetings, whether it's in the university setting, in a corporate setting, or in the classroom setting. It has to do with identifying an issue and then creating a focal point. Remember the notion of camping out and sitting around the campfire, people poking at the fire and musing without necessarily looking at each other directly. And the structure then is that everybody goes around in sequence, commenting on the issue at hand. People are not allowed to respond. There's no reaction to what's been said. We just simply listen and meditate and think by focusing on a central object. And I've done this where you actually put something in the middle of the room, like a Coke bottle or a low, not a high, flower arrangement, something that people can look at so that they don't have to be scrutinizing or responding directly to what other people are saying. This creates a bit more safety, a bit more contemplative tone, a bit more of a reflective atmosphere in the room, and it allows people a little bit more safely to convey their ideas and opinions. Then after everyone has spoken, go around a second time where people now have a chance to say, okay, given what everybody has said, is there some additional wisdom here that comes out of hearing all the individual perspectives, comparing that with my own, and consolidating all of that on the issue at hand, whether who are we going to hire, or should we buy this firm, or should we introduce this new product, or whatever the topic might be. So then you can think about what wisdom has emerged from our discussion. Is there something that now emerges from the conversation that seems to be obvious, that wasn't obvious at the beginning? And I found it a very effective way of reaching a consensus and moving yourself toward a team-based rather than an individual-based conclusion.